Okay, this isn't live, right?
No, I'm
okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I got so scared.
Yeah. That's way more.
Here we go.
I've never heard that, but that's the origin of cap. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look.
Right. We have to follow. Yeah. We have to have.
Be true to yourself. You don't have.
And when I came back, the place was a mess. So I knew I was a mess.
Deep in here now.
It's incredible.
I love it.
Me
That's
too.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And applying the recovery, I thought.
All right, welcome to the McShin Foundation's Get in the Herd podcast here in Richmond, Virginia. We want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. Up first is the Seed Institute. Seed Institute. If you have any questions about trying to get some trainings, they specialize in trainings, and they also help individuals start their own LLCs. They specialize in startup businesses. They are minority owned as well. So reach out to them, 804-939-0541. And then next up, we have the Farley Center. That was my angel on my shoulder there. We have the Farley Center. They are a treatment center located in Williamsburg, Virginia. If you have any loved ones or anyone that needs some services for substance use disorder and or mental health, give them a call. They have a detox and they take commercial insurances. 804-638-7329. Kelly Eason is the name of their coordinator. Give them a call. The Farley Center. Thank you, Farley Center, for that sponsorship. And then up next, we have Rooted Hair Studios. They are located in Colonial Heights, Virginia. If you give them a call and mention McShin, you'll get 10% off your next hairdo. So go on, get your hair done. Rooted Hair Studio, 804-919-3851. They are located in Colonial Heights, Virginia, and they are locally owned as well. So they're not a whatever commercial brand studio. They're locally owned. So give them a call, 804-919-3851. Mention code McShin, get 10% off. And then we have one last sponsor who wanted to remain anonymous. So we do want to shout them out for that sponsorship. They sponsored the podcast. So I don't have anything to sponsor. I don't have anything to say for them.
Lunch today.
Yes, but we do want to shout them out and say, thank you for that. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate all of our sponsors. And with that, we're going to get into our next episode.
Hello. I am Monique Rungy, and I am the co-host today of our Get in the Herd podcast. And I am joined today by our lovely guest co-host, Laura. Hey. And we are so excited because this is a long time coming, y'all.
Yay!
All right, we have been trying to get Melanie on this couch for months. So, she's a busy lady now. So we are really excited to have her and just get to, talk and hang out and kiki and haha.
Yeah.
How are you today, Melanie?
I'm doing good. It's a good Wednesday.
Yes. Okay. Well, I see I'm going to have to prompt all the things out. Okay. Melanie here. So Melanie here, can you tell everyone kind of what you do here?
Yeah, so I am the CFO at McShin. I do all the bookkeeping, track all the payments, going in and out, all of our grants that we have. And then I also am a CPRS, and I go out to our Brenna house on Tuesdays and do groups with women there. We mainly work outside, doing like gardening or working with the chickens, and do a lot of hands-on activities.
See, I'm glad that she loves the chickens. I know that I probably have said this on multiple podcasts before, but
How do you feel about this?
I did not like those chickens. Okay. and I was in the intensive house when they were building this chicken coop. They told us it was just going to be a few chickens, but the size of the chicken coop told a different story. Okay. And now it's like a whole small village of chickens. And so, that wasn't one of my strengths, but Melanie here is like an animal freaking whisperer. Okay. How many animals do you have, Melanie?
So I have I have 2 dogs. We have 10 chickens, and I'm getting more in a couple weeks. And then we have 4 pigs. We have a sun-globe boa.
A snake.
Yes. We have a
Look,
snake.
look. This is Melanie with a snake. Very casual.
That's one that I caught that we caught out of the chicken coop. It was trying to eat the eggs.
Oh, that's not your pet
Bad
No.
snake. Bad
That's a different
snake.
Yeah.
snake.
Bad snake.
But it's a black snake, so they're good. They're good to have in your yard.
Good snake. Good snake,
Does
but
not
bad
end the
don't
chicken
eat
coop.
the eggs.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and we have a few more reptiles too. I have a bearded dragon.
Look at him.
him.
What's his name?
That's Charmander.
Charmander.
He's my baby.
I love
can
this.
tell.
I love this so much.
He looks like he loves you.
He does.
Yeah.
So in total, how many animals would you say you have?
19, not including my kids.
Yeah, not including the kids. We were just talking about, I mean, we have a great business venture for Melanie.
Mhm.
Okay. You know how people call animal control? They're like, oh my gosh, there's a possum. Oh my gosh, it's a snake. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Okay, instead of calling animal control, which a lot of times they pew pew the animal and then the animal no longer exists, they can just call Team Melanie B. Okay. And her girls come out dressed up like Ghostbusters outfits, and they come and they animal whisper to the animals, and then they easily are captured and then relocated to somewhere safe. You know, she's really good at these things. I mean, we were just talking, Laura.
Yeah, I remember one day there was a snake here at the center down in the big room where we have our groups, and everyone was scared and nobody even wanted to go in the room. And then Melanie just went in and grabbed the snake with her bare hands, took it outside, set it free like it was nothing. But you know, a bunch of grown men wouldn't even.
I was sitting in my office and I just heard them. I heard the one guy just screaming my name, and I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "There's a snake! There's a snake!" And I went down there, and they had like a broom and a dustpan trying to get the snake, and I just picked it up, but it wasn't venomous, so it was just a garter snake.
Do those bite?
I mean, yeah, they can, but it was a baby. He was like this big.
Okay.
Still a snake.
Yeah.
Still a snake.
With your bare hands.
With her bare hands, y'all.
Don't ask me to help with spiders, though.
Yes, spiders, that's a one. I think we can universally say no to spiders. You know.
Okay.
But Melanie, so, you know, we know a little fun facts about you. Mm-hmm. Let's kind of talk about how you came to McShin, because, you know, you are alum, and just kind of like what brought you to a place where you were, you know, kind of ready to sustain your recovery.
Okay. So, I actually came to McShin twice. In 2015, I found McShin through a friend. I didn't get it that time. I ended up going back out, and I came back in 2016. I knew where to go, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I knew where the love is. I knew where to go back to when I was finally ready for help. But I came back in 2016. I had my 3 girls that my dad was taking care of. And my goal was I just wanted to be a good mom and get back to them. And I wasn't able to see them anymore. And that was really my rock bottom, and was like, I have to do something different. And so when I came back this last time, I didn't give myself a time frame. I was like, I'm not just going to stay 28 days and then leave. I was like, we'll just take it day by day, see how long, you know, I need. And I ended up getting a scholarship for my first 90 days. So that made a huge difference. I was able to, I didn't have to like rush right back into work, and I was able to like sit and really take in all the information, start working with my sponsor and start working on myself and going through the steps. And I ended up staying in housing for 16 months.
Wow.
Before I moved back in with my kids. and regained full custody of them.
Yay.
And-
Yay! Yeah, the crowd goes wild.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm so glad that I hit that rock bottom and found my way back here. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that I knew McShin was here.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I mean, they just welcomed me right back in. I
Yeah.
showed up at like 4:30 on a Friday and was like, I need help. And, you know, that's like really busy time. Everybody's, you know, getting ready to leave except for our night staff. And they just got me right into one of the houses. So
That is, I mean, the fact that same day access is like available is so huge, because it's like when you are ready,
You gotta go.
you got to go
Act
right
now.
then. You know, act now, because the next day they might feel differently.
yeah, I mean, I
Right.
probably would have just went right back out and ended up back in jail again or something if I wasn't able to get the help right then and there.
Yeah.
And so I was very grateful they had a bed and took me right
Yeah.
in.
It's so important.
So today is actually the 1-year anniversary of McShin opening up its doors at Destiny House. For those of you that don't know, Destiny House is our dedicated pregnant and parenting women and children's house. And it's pretty cool having like Laura and Melanie here, because, you know, one of the big barriers and things that we needed to make that happen, you know, her mom and stepdad were generous enough to give a large donation, and that kind of was like that springboard that, you know, we needed to start that. So it's really cool that you're here sitting on this couch.
Yeah.
And then Melanie, I mean, and both of you are moms, you know.
Yeah.
How does it feel to meet these women that come in and like might have children, or like they start in the program house and then they transition into Destiny House?
I think it's amazing. I know that if there had been something like that when I was trying to get clean, I would have gotten clean a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Because it was like there was nowhere that I could go and take my kids, and that was my biggest fear, was that I was going to ultimately lose my kids, which ended up happening anyways.
Mhm.
You know, thank God I had my dad. You know, my kids didn't go into the system, so I'm very
Right.
grateful for that. Having that access, the accessibility for these women to come with their children, you know, they'll probably take the help a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Like when they have that option, like, oh, I can take my kid with me, and like,
Yeah. And stay longer
yeah,
and just
Yeah.
have a safe environment for them to be with their kid while they work on their recovery, and know that, you know, they're supported, their children are supported. I mean, when the kids, when we have moms move in, I mean, they just kind of inherit this family with their
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
of people who, it's so fun having kids run around, and like, I love that.
The birthday parties, the like,
Yeah.
it's just like,
It's just, it really is. It's so cool. It's so awesome for moms to be able to do that, and to just kind of take that burden off. Because like you said, like, I know that men care about their children too, but I just see it so often where women are rushed to get back home so that they
Right.
can take care of their kids, because they don't have anyone else to be with their kids.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, the people that do have someone that might watch their children or watch their child, it's like you get to that point of like, man, I can't ask them to watch them
I
even
can't
longer.
keep doing that.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I'm a burden. It's like all
Mhm.
these things that probably go through your mind.
And
And
now
it's
they
just,
can have
you know,
their own little
yeah.
room together.
Yeah.
And it's a nice house, you know.
Mhm.
It's, I wish that more women had access to that.
Yeah.
You know.
Went back. Sorry, squirrel. But with you, Melanie, is like, I really, even though I know I was a pain in the butt and intensive, like I totally know that, you know, like it's like with specifically about these chickens.
You did a good job though.
I
got pictures of you in the garden too.
No, for the chickens with me, but like I really appreciated the fact that like I had options. Like if I didn't feel comfortable building a chicken coop or like hanging out with chickens, like you taught me how to like garden. At the time, y'all, the garden was a thriving, like that was a good year. That was a
Mhm.
really good year. It was cool because that stuff came from the work that you put in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was just like, Oh my God. I literally went from like, okay, I can totally be off grid. Like my dream now is like I can have my own garden and live off of I don't think I'm that. So it's just I really like that you exposed me to that because like as someone that had no experience, and first of all, I didn't even know, I knew about recovery as far as like I know that there was expensive treatment centers and like rehabs, but I didn't know anything about like recovery residences. And like I'm thinking it's just going to be those same boring monotonous groups all day, and for me it was just like it added a spark in the middle of my day. I got to be outside and I was just like, this isn't so bad, it's hands on. And I just really love that you do that. And it's like she's so dedicated, she still does that 3 years later. You've been doing it for years and years going down there.
Yeah, I love it. And I get a lot out of it too. And one thing in recovery is they always tell you need to find like a hobby or like your self-care and things like that. It's like, what are you doing? What is your peace in the middle of all the chaos?
Yeah.
It's like you have to find something that you enjoy to do. And I just fell in love with gardening. That is like my peace. Like I could literally be sitting in my garden weeding. It's just like everything's okay in the world. And so it's like coming out there and bringing those groups to them. I'm hope if one person can find like a different self-care or hobby or something out of the groups I do.
Yeah.
That's my goal. And yesterday I went out there and we cleaned out all of the flower beds out front. And then next time I go out, we're going to plant flowers so that, they can make their house pretty. The girls loved it. Like, I don't know, that helps me too by going out there.
Even more.
Like seeing how much they enjoyed it. Because I know some people that have done the groups with me and like at first they didn't know what they were doing or they didn't know anything about gardening. And now I see them posting on Facebook and they're like love plants.
Yes. Yeah.
And like it just makes them so happy. There's sometimes where I start the groups and they're like, well, what does this have to do with recovery? And I'm like, self-care is so important.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to find things that you enjoy to do in your free time.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be gardening, that can be artwork, that can be having chickens. Like there's so many different things out there. Like recovery and self-care isn't like just this cookie cutter thing. So it still has to do with recovery.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I feel like people are starting to see that more and like realize that more and respect it more. And, especially as peers push for that more of like find what makes you feel good doing this journey. I know for me, it's like a mixture of different pathways. I don't have a green thumb. Like that's for sure. I can like keep a succulent alive, but I do love succulents. Like I have them in my house and like on my balcony at home. We started going outside during your groups, inspired me. And I was like, oh my God, I do love sun. I was like inspired. I had my parents bring me one of my hula hoops. So instead of, having outburst, I'd be like, I'm about to go hula hoop. So it worked. Even though I've always loved outside, it's just really weird where you end up in your active addiction.
Yeah.
Like by the end of it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like when you first come in, like you're coming out of active addiction, you're detoxing and everything. It's like, and a lot of the groups are inside. And it's like sometimes I go out there and like, okay, we're going to go take care of the chickens, or hey, we're going to go do this.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, like they're all dreading it. And then 5-10 minutes into it, they're like, this is awesome. Like even when I show them how to like care for the chickens and clean the coop, the girls were like, hey, that wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Like they were like, man, I really need to get outside more often.
I end up always isolating.
Yeah.
I talked to Laura about this. Sometimes like I will go, like if I'm not obligated to do anything social on the weekends, like as in like no, and usually when I say obligated to do something social, it's like work related, or like I find a way, I'm gonna go to like this health expo, like just like something, it benefits me in my job. And it's like if I don't have anything, I will go an entire 2.5-3 days with not speaking a word.
Not to a
like out loud,
right?
Because like me and Yeye, like we it's like telepathy sometimes. I don't even have to talk to her. And I that was one of the reasons I was kind of scared when I moved out of sober living, because it was like, dang, it's been 20 months or 19 months at that point. I don't want to fall back into literally sitting alone in my room or in my apartment completely by myself with my dog.
There's a healthy way.
Exactly.
It's like a balance.
So Melanie, you went from, so you're a 2-time alumni. 2 times. Okay. How did you start working here?
I was a house manager for about a year. I was living actually at Eco Flats when we used to have Eco Flats. And I was a house manager there for about a year. And I moved out. I was waiting on tables at Extra Billy's. And I wanted something to where I could get off of work in time to get my kids off the bus. I wanted to take them out of daycare. That was my goal at the time. I posted something like RVA recovery because I couldn't find anything. And John actually reached out to me and was like, hey, why don't you, message Honesty, because there was a job opening. And so I messaged Honesty, and I came up here, and I ended up getting hired on as the drug screen and medication monitor and like a peer liaison. At that time, I was working like part-time, so I was able to get my kids off the bus. And then they got of course, they've gotten a little older, so I don't have to get them off the bus anymore. But a few months in, the financial controller position was opening up. Jesse offered me the job. I guess I had done some things. He asked me if I had experience with QuickBooks, and I had used it before. And then I also had medical billing somewhere else. I ended up taking that position. I was really nervous at first, but I just dove head in. And 5 years later, I'm the CFO. So,
God. CFO, for anyone that does not know, okay, is Chief Financial Officer. Period. So that means she's one of like our executive staff, and it's just, to me, it's really cool seeing like women in positions of power. And also, like, I love Melanie. So, and I think like we all love Melanie. So it's just like, it's so cool to see someone stay in the organization for so long, actually make it. Do you feel like you made it?
I do, and I feel like I'm still making it. Like,
Yes.
I still have goals that I want to reach. Like, I eventually want to go back to school and become a CPA. Like, I want those letters behind my name.
Period.
McShin is like my second home, so I don't feel like, there is a lot on my plate when I walk in this door. Like, there's a lot of tasks that need to be done, but I don't feel like I'm coming to work all the time. Like, there's other jobs I've had, and it's like you get up in the morning, it's like, oh, I gotta go to work today. Like, I've never once felt like that about McShin. It's like my second home, and like my kids have grown up here too. So it's like when they don't have school, they're like, can I go to work with you? And I'm like, yes. But now they're older. When they were younger, I'd have them come with me more, but now, they can hang out and take care of themselves. I feel like I've made it, but I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
And
that's a good feeling.
I like that.
That's probably a really good feeling.
And then we didn't have this many women here either when I started working here. We had women here.
Yeah.
But it's like now we have a whole floor of some strong women.
Facts.
Like, it is awesome. Like, walking up to the second floor now, and it's like every office, there is a strong woman in recovery in that office.
That is so true.
It's awesome.
Poor David.
I got chills.
Yeah. Poor David. He's like the only guy on the second floor. I feel like he
loves us.
I feel like, well, and also David low-key, I don't know if that sounded guy. I was gonna say a plant poppy.
Yeah,
but I didn't know if that sounded appropriate or not.
Look, I told him
plant poppy.
I told him when we got on the podcast that you guys were gonna say something about my animals. You're gonna pick on me about my animals, and I was like, well, you're next, and they're gonna pick on you about your plants.
Well, Melanie, I'm like so happy that you're here, that you're like in my life, and the example that you set of like, you just juggle so much, between, 3 girls, like, come on now. Like, I know my dad, like, I'm one of 3 sisters. So like, I know my dad had his hands full. My mom had her hands full. My granny had her hands full. It's like, you're doing it. Like, 3 girls, you're the CFO here. They do all types of extracurricular stuff. Soccer, roller skating, like all the things.
I live in my car as soon as I get off work, just busting them around to their different their track meets and soccer games, and soon it will be karate also.
Karate, now it's karate, yes.
And Girl Scouts, because I'm also
cool. And Girl Scouts.
A co-leader for my daughter's Girl Scout troop, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but you do so much of it. And one thing I love about you is that like you will never know like how much stress or like how busy you are, because you're still always so pleasant, and like you're just so like, even if you feel like you have a lot going on, and you're like, okay, I can't really like talk that much, you still are just like really present. You're smiling. You're like, hey, are you okay? Hey, like, there's a reason why people always feel so safe with you. So I just appreciate you, and I love you, Melanie.
I love you
Love
too. I appreciate
you.
you guys.
Yeah.
I don't always feel like I hold it all together like that, like perfectly. I
do.
definitely come in and some days I'm like frustrated to hear that I guess it doesn't always look like that on the outside. I must be doing better than I thought I was.
You are.
Yes. Isn't that the case? We're always kind of doing a little bit better than we
Better than you
think.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're our worst critiques.
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
But-
thanks for letting me be on the podcast.
Yeah,
with
thanks.
y'all.
Thanks for having me. I was very nervous
Yeah.
having to do this. Like anybody that knows me knows that I don't like speaking. I'm good with numbers behind a computer. I'm good with like the one-on-one sessions with people and stuff and doing groups, but I don't like being the center of attention. So, but this was good. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Yay. Thanks for coming on, Melanie.
Mhm.
And for anyone that has not, please hit the subscribe button to our McShin YouTube, the Get in the Herd YouTube. It is at McShin Tube. Okay? Please do so. And if you are not, don't be a hater. Okay. Peace out.